We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Aristotle said that, or something very much like it, more than 2,000 years ago. It's a line that has clung to me for years like a favorite old coat. It's simple, yet it holds a universe of truth. It suggests that the grand, heroic moments we often chase are not the real substance of our lives. Instead, it's the small, everyday choices, the things we practice without even thinking, that shape who we become. It's a profoundly hopeful idea, isn't it? It means that greatness isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, one tiny, repeated action at a time. It puts the power to change right back into our own hands. I once knew a man, a gardener, named Arthur. He wasn't famous or wealthy, but his garden was a local legend. Every morning, without fail, you would see him out there, even on frosty winter days. He'd be tending to his roses, pulling up the most stubborn of weeds, turning the soil with a quiet, focused rhythm. He wasn't performing for anyone. He was simply doing what he did every day. His neighbors would often stop to admire the riot of color and life he had cultivated. They'd ask for his secret, expecting some magical formula or expensive fertilizer.
He would just smile, wipe his brow with the back of a soil-stained hand, and say, "The secret is showing up tomorrow."
Arthur embodied Aristotle's wisdom without ever having read a word of Greek philosophy. His excellence wasn't found in a single prize-winning bloom, magnificent though they were. It was in the daily habit of care. It was in the patient repetition of weeding, watering, and pruning. Each small act, compounded over years, created a masterpiece of natural beauty. His garden was a living testament to the idea that who we are is a collection of our habits. He wasn't just a man who gardened, he was a gardener through and through. His identity was forged in the crucible of his daily routine, a quiet, unassuming dedication that blossomed into something truly extraordinary for all to see. This simple truth comes from a man who lived a very long time ago. Aristotle was a Greek philosopher who lived in the 4th century BC. He walked the earth in a world of marble temples and fledgling democracies, a world so different from our own. So who exactly was this Aristotle? He wasn't from Athens, the bustling intellectual heart of ancient Greece. He was born in 384 BC in a place called Stagira in Macedonia, a kingdom to the north that the Athenians often looked down upon as a bit rough around the edges. His father was a physician to the king of Macedon, which meant that from a young age, Aristotle was likely exposed to the practice of close observation and empirical study. This early influence, this grounding in the tangible world of biology and medicine, would profoundly shape his entire philosophical outlook, setting him apart from his predecessors who were often more concerned with abstract, unseen realms. At the age of 17, a pivotal moment arrived. The bright young man journeyed south to Athens to study at the most prestigious school of its day, Plato's Academy. Imagine it. For 20 years, Aristotle learned at the feet of the master himself. Plato was a philosopher of ideals, of perfect forms existing in a higher reality. Aristotle, his most brilliant student, absorbed it all. But he was never one to simply accept things without question. He was a born inquirer, a man who needed to see, to touch, to categorize. This created a fascinating dynamic, a tension between the teacher's world of abstract ideals and the student's pull towards the concrete reality he could observe all around him. After Plato died, Aristotle's path diverged. He traveled, conducted pioneering research in marine biology, and famously, he was hired to be the private tutor to a young prince. This was no ordinary boy, it was the future Alexander the Great. One can only imagine the conversations between the greatest mind of the age and the young man who would go on to conquer most of the known world. What seeds of logic, ethics, and political thought did Aristotle plant in that ambitious young soul? Logic, ethics, political thought. It's a tantalizing thought. This experience gave him a practical insight into power and leadership that few philosophers could ever hope to gain. influencing his later writings on politics and ethics. Eventually, Aristotle returned to Athens and founded his own school, the Lyceum. It was nicknamed the Peripatetic School because he had a habit of walking around while he taught. His students would literally follow in his footsteps, discussing everything from the nature of the soul to the classification of shellfish. This wasn't a school of pure theory, it was a research institute, a library, a hub of empirical investigation. He and his students were dedicated to understanding the world as it is, in all its messy, fascinating detail. This legacy of systematic inquiry and observation is why he is often considered the father of so many fields of study, from logic to biology. Let's stick with our simple clay vase for a moment to see how these four causes work together to give us a complete picture. We have the material, the clay. We have the form, the design of a vessel with a hollow center and an opening at the top. We have the efficient cause, the potter who shaped the clay on the wheel. But Aristotle would say we are still missing the most important piece of the puzzle. We have the what, the how, the who, but we still don't have the ultimate why. This is where the fourth and final cause comes into play, and it's the one that truly unlocks the meaning of a thing. This last, and arguably most important explanation, is the final cause. What is its purpose? For what end was it made? This is the goal, the reason for its existence. A vase isn't made just for the sake of being a vase-shaped object. It is made to hold flowers. That is its purpose, its telos. This final cause gives meaning to all the others. The potter chose clay and shaped it into a hollow form so that it could fulfill its purpose of holding flowers and water. Without this purpose, the object is just a curious lump of baked earth. With it, it has a reason to be. This idea reveals a profound way of looking at the world. For Aristotle, everything had a purpose, a final cause. The purpose of an acorn is to become an oak tree. The purpose of a knife is to cut. The purpose of a house is to provide shelter. It's a beautifully ordered and meaningful view of the universe. Nothing is just random or accidental. Everything is striving towards its own inherent goal. This isn't necessarily a divine purpose handed down from on high, but rather an intrinsic potential that each thing works to fulfill. You can apply this to anything in your life to understand it more deeply. Think about a business. The material cause might be the employees, the material cause might be the office, the material cause might be the capital, the formal cause is the business structure, the formal cause is the hierarchy, the formal cause is the brand, the efficient cause is the founder who brought it all together. But what is its final cause? Is it just to make money, or is it to solve a specific problem for its customers, or to create a positive work environment, or to innovate in its field? Asking about the final cause forces us to think beyond the mechanics and consider the ultimate meaning and value of what we are doing. For Aristotle, this wasn't just a way to understand objects like vases, chairs. It was the key to understanding all of life, including our own. He asked a powerful question. If an acorn has a purpose, a knife has a purpose, what is the purpose of a human being? What is our ultimate goal, the final cause for which we exist? What are we all striving towards? His answer was simple and profound: Eudaimonia. This Greek word is often translated as happiness, but that's a bit thin. It's not about a fleeting feeling of joy, pleasure. It's much deeper. A better translation might be human flourishing, living well and doing well. It's the state of being the best version of ourselves we can possibly be, fulfilling our unique human potential. Just as an acorn's purpose is to become a magnificent, strong oak tree, our purpose is to grow into fully realized, virtuous and rational human beings. This is our ultimate telos. But how do we achieve this state of flourishing? Aristotle believed the key lies in our unique capacity for reason. A plant can grow and take in nutrients. An animal can move and perceive the world. But only humans can think, reflect, make complex choices, and live according to a rational plan. Therefore, he argued, the good life, the life of eudaimonia, must be one lived in accordance with reason. It's a life where we use our intelligence not just to solve practical problems, but to understand ourselves, understand the world, and guide our actions toward what is good and noble. So, for Aristotle, living a purposeful life wasn't about waiting for a divine sign or finding a single mystical calling. It was about the practical day-to-day use of reason to cultivate our best qualities. It was about making choices, big and small, that align with our highest potential. Are we using our minds to learn, grow? Are we managing our emotions with wisdom? Are we contributing to our communities? These are the questions that lead us towards our telos. The purpose of life isn't a destination we arrive at, but a path we walk, a way of being we embody through rational activity, virtuous activity. That's the idea. Section 6, the art of being good, virtue, and the golden mean. If our purpose is to flourish by living a life of reason, how do we actually do that? This brings us back to that wonderful opening quote about habits. Aristotle's answer lies in what we now call virtue ethics. For him, being a good person wasn't about memorizing a set of rules like don't lie, don't steal. It was about developing a good character. And you develop a good character by practicing good actions until they become second nature. These good character traits are the virtues, things like courage, temperance, generosity, justice. They are the habits of excellence that lead to eudaimonia. To help us find these virtues, Aristotle gave us a brilliant practical tool, the golden mean. He noticed that for any given emotion or action, we can usually go wrong in two ways, by excess or deficiency. The virtue lies somewhere in the middle, the golden mean. This isn't a mathematical average. It's the right amount, at the right time, towards the right people. For the right reason, it's a balance that requires wisdom and practical judgment. Too little fear, reckless or rash. Too much fear, cowardice. The mean between them is courage. Courage feels fear in the right amount. It uses reason to assess and then act because it's the right thing to do. Stinginess, deficiency. Extravagance, excess. Between them lies generosity. Self-deprecation, deficiency. Boastfulness, excess. Between them lies truthfulness or modesty. Section 7. A personal journey with courage. I remember a time when this idea of the golden mean became intensely personal for me. Years ago, I was offered a role in a play that terrified me. It was a hugely demanding part, far outside what I considered my comfort zone, and the production was to be in a very prestigious theatre. My immediate gut reaction was one of pure, unadulterated fear. The voice of deficiency, of cowardice, was screaming in my ear. It painted vivid pictures of failure, forgetting my lines, being savaged by critics, letting everyone down. It whispered that the safest option was to politely decline, to stay where I was comfortable and known. At the same time, another, smaller voice popped up, the voice of excess, the voice of recklessness. It told me to just say yes without a second thought, to leap blindly into the fire. This voice encouraged a kind of bravado, an arrogant assumption that I could handle it without proper preparation or respect for the difficulty of the task. To follow that path would have been just as foolish as running away, setting myself up for a fall born not of challenge, but of hubris. I felt torn between these two poles, the paralysis of fear and the folly of recklessness. And then I thought of Aristotle's mean. The courageous path wasn't to pretend I wasn't scared. The courageous path was to acknowledge the fear, to respect it, and to use it as fuel. It meant looking the challenge squarely in the eye and asking, what do I need to do to meet this? It meant accepting the role not with a boast, but with humility and a promise to myself that I would do the work. It meant hiring a voice coach, spending extra hours dissecting the script, and admitting to the director when I was struggling. That experience taught me that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting rightly in the presence of fear. It was a habit I had to build every day during rehearsals. Each morning, the fear was there, and each morning I had to choose to walk into that rehearsal room anyway. I had to practice the virtue of courage. It was a slow, deliberate process of finding the balance between being overwhelmed by the challenge and being dismissive of it. It was about finding the mean. That play turned out to be one of the most rewarding experiences of my career. Not because it was perfect, but because it taught me the true meaning of being brave.